Ya Hüseyin, Ya Hüseyin, Ya Hüseyin. Sallallahu aleyke ya Resulallah. Ve ala ehli beytikel mazlumin. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة غريب مظلوم كربلاء يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. May God's peace and blessings be upon you, O Imam Hussein, the grandson of Rasulullah and the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Oh, how we wish that we were with you on the battlefield, so we would have won and been victorious with you. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. We continue tonight with the letter of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. And we move on to another instruction that he had given us, had given his companions in that letter, but that letter was meant for everyone and not just for them. One of the themes that we can find in this very long letter is the theme of patience. The Imam, in numerous lines in this letter, tells his followers to practice a form of patience, sabr. Wa alaykum bis sabr. And you must practice patience. What the Imam is doing here is he's giving the followers the keys to a life of happiness. There are a number of things that we as human beings, if we have, we are able to live a life of happiness and a life of peace and calmness. Because human beings are born in a world that is filled with troubles and problems, we have to have something, some weapons, some tools, in order for us to overcome these issues and to be able to handle them. We're all born into this world. We come into this world and we're crying as babies. From that moment on, we begin facing struggles. We have to eat to grow, to survive. So we have to fetch our food. We have to drink to remain alive, so we have to fetch our water. We have to have clothing to protect ourselves. We have to have a home to protect us from the outside elements. The moment we come into this world and our soul comes into this body, we begin facing challenges and difficulties. At the beginning, our parents help us with overcoming these difficulties. They feed us, they clothe us, They take care of us. But our bodies are struggling on their own. They have a struggle of their own. They grow. We're fighting against gravity. And there are a lot of things that as we grow up, we have to face and we have to be able to tolerate and to overcome in order to remain in this world. This is the nature of the physical world. It's a reality that we cannot escape from. As long as we're here, this is something that we're going to have to go through. Either we accept it and try to change our lives to the better and be able to cope with what we go through in a healthy way, or we allow it to destroy us and make us live miserably. If we complain, if we nag on other people, if we say that this life is terrible and keep saying negative things, nothing about this world is going to change. It's going to stay the same world. We're going to go through the same exact things. We're going to wake up in the morning and do the exact same thing that we've been doing. And nothing is going to change if we complain about our life. Life is going to continue. Nature is doing its thing. Earth is rotating. The planets are there. The universe is there. All of them are doing their own thing. So whether we complain or not complain, nothing about this world is going to stop because we don't like it in terms of nature and how it functions. What we can control, though, is the things that are inside of us. So the things that we control outside of us are limited. I can't, for example, if I'm too hot, I can't block the sun for a little bit. It's not going to happen. If I'm too hungry or thirsty, I can't just press a button on myself and say, hey, no more hunger. And when I'm hungry, I press it, I turn it on, and then I go eat and turn it back off again. That's not going to happen. So life on the outside is not something that we can control all the time. Some things are in our hands, most things are not. But what I can control is my life in the inside. My attitude, my behavior, my mentality, how I deal with things outside of me is what I can control. And this is what the Imam is referring to with patience. There's a hadith by one of the Imams which is a very interesting hadith that I read. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, إِنَّكَ إِن صَبَرْتَ جَرَتْ عَلَيْكَ الْمَقَادِيرُ وَأَنْتَ مَأْجُورٌ وَإِن جَزَعْتَ جَرَتْ عَلَيْكَ الْمَقَادِيرُ وَأَنْتَ مَأْزُورٌ. He says that if you're patient, then the trials and the tests of life are going to come to you, but you'll be rewarded. Rewarded doesn't necessarily mean that you only get rewards from God. Rewarded means that you're going to live happily. That's a form of reward. He says that if difficulties and tests and tribulations and trials come to you while you are patient, then you will live happily, even though these problems are coming. But if you have these same tests coming to you, and you're not patient, and you're not tolerant, then they're going to still happen to you, but at this point, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be miserable. So what the Imam is saying is that no matter what you do, the tests and tribulations are going to come to you regardless. You're going to have to deal with life. The attitude with which you deal with life is what you are able to control and what you're able to change. So patience in one sense is changing our attitude and our behavior with life and the challenges in life. Patience is not only to tolerate the difficulties. Tolerating something doesn't really need patience. Some people try to say, I'm a very patient person. I tolerate every problem that comes to me. That is the lowest level of patience. It's called tolerance. Patience has degrees and levels. One of the degrees and one of the highest degrees is what the Imam is talking about over here. One time you have a problem and you put up with it. And you don't react to it negatively. You don't cause a problem. You don't become very angry. but it builds up inside of you. And you feel that pressure building and building and building until one day you explode or you find some way to get rid of it. This type of patience is one of the lowest levels of patience that a person can have. Because what's really happening is that you're just like a pressure cooker. You're staying quiet, you're not dealing with it, it's building up inside of you, and it causes a lot of different problems inside. You can't focus anymore, you're not happy anymore, you become a miserable individual because of all of these things that you're putting up with. Your neighbor is bothering you, and every time you say, man, that neighbor keeps bothering me, you don't say anything to them. The next day they do something that bothers you, you get more bothered. The third day, the fourth day, you think you're a very patient person with them. But that's building up a very bad thing inside of you. And the consequence might not be very good. One day you might explode in the face of your neighbor because you can't take it anymore. Patience in the proper way tells you to deal with things in your life in a more positive manner. Either you go to your neighbor and you speak to them nicely, you try to resolve the issue with them, or you accept, for example, that your neighbor is a different person with different lifestyles, with different ways of living, and a different mentality, and I have to accept that. Just like I expect other people to accept me for who I am, I should accept other people for who they are. We don't usually apply this. We want them to accept us. You say, this is how I am. You don't like it, go deal with it. But when it comes to the other side, we don't tend to apply that to ourselves. We want everybody around us to change according to how we want them to be. Someone who doesn't behave the way I behave, I immediately shun them and consider them to be wrong people. Patience involves accepting other people, accepting their lifestyle, accepting that there are differences in this world, and accepting that I have to, at some point, remove the ego that's inside of me, instead of putting it there and trying to make the whole world revolve around myself. That's one level of patience as well. There's another interesting hadith that I wrote over here that I found in Al-Kafi. The Imam talks about their patience as Imams and the patience of their followers, the Shia. Al-Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, "Inna subbarun wa shi'atuna asbaru minna." He tells one of his companions that we, the Imams, are patient, but our Shia, our followers, are even more patient than us. The companion is surprised. How can your followers have more patience than you? The Imam says, the man says, قُلْتُ جُعِلْتُ فِدَاكَ كيف صار شيعتكم أصبر منكم? The Imam replies, لأننا نصبر على ما نعلم وشيعتنا يصبرون على ما لا يعلمون. The Imam says, because we're patient about things that we know about, whereas our followers are patient about things that they don't know. The Imam has a special type of knowledge. Sometimes he's able to foresee what's going to happen, so he's able to prepare himself for it. Whereas the followers, we don't have that kind of knowledge. We're patient for all the troubles that come to us. We don't know what the next day is going to bring to us. We don't know what the next moment is going to bring to us. But if we have that patience for things that no matter what comes and hits us, then we're in a good place. This is the kind of patience that we have to develop. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In another hadith that's attributed to Imam Ali alayhi salam, he categorizes patience in a number of different categories. He says that one level of patience is being patient with the sins that you might commit against God. You have temptations in this world, you have difficulties, you have challenges, things that God has forbade, and in order to stop committing those, you have to have patience against those. That's one type of patience. Another type of patience is patience on ibadah. in order to perform good things, to worship God, to be nice to people, to be giving to others, also requires a form of patience. It's not easy to be that kind of person. So we have a negative type of patience and a positive type of patience. A patience that helps us stay away from wrong things and temptations, and a patience that helps us move forward and become good individuals and positive individuals. And these are two types of things that we have to be equipped with. The Imam says patience against haram, against forbidden things, is harder and better than patience about worshiping and doing good things. Because to stop yourself from doing something wrong is much more difficult than pushing yourself to do something right. And this is something that we have to be developing in ourselves if we want to be people who don't struggle in life as much and live a life of mindfulness. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When the Prophet ﷺ was asked about faith, about Iman, he told them Iman is sabr, Iman is patience. Because you can't grow in this world if you don't go through struggles. If you want to learn something, you have to pick up a book and read it. It's not easy. If you want to build your body, you go to the gym, you have to lift weights to strengthen yourself. If you want to become someone who is successful in life, you don't hear about anybody who's successful with a very nice story that, hey, I was sleeping at night, I woke up in the morning, and now I have a company and $1 billion in my pocket. Never hear that kind of story. Everybody has to struggle to get to that. And patience is that key that you use to struggle. The difference between a believer and a non-believer is that the believer doesn't only look for success in the material world. Because we've seen so many people, celebrities and non-celebrities, rich people, who have it all. They can buy whatever they want. They have mansions, they have private jets, they have anything they could wish for in this world. Yet we hear about one of them struggling with drugs, for example. One of them committing suicide. This is enough proof for us, and this is not something that just happens during our time. Throughout human history, we've always seen wealthy individuals who didn't care about their spiritual side also suffering, even though they have a huge amount of wealth and success in the physical and material world. This is something that should be obvious for all of us, but we tend to ignore this. We say, you know what, if I become rich, I'm not going to be like that. Well, that person was saying the exact same thing before he got rich, or she got rich. We have to learn, when we say so many people, wealthy and not happy, we have to learn that happiness does not only come from wealth. I mean, how many times does it have to happen for us to understand this? Something that's surprising about human beings is that we see things happening in front of our eyes, and you turn a blind eye to it. For some reason, we're so good at ignoring things. It's right in front of you. You still don't see it. 1,000 people fell in that same hole that's in front of you, and then you end up walking and falling in the same hole. Why do we keep doing that as human beings? I don't know. It's really baffling. So we should take this, and the Quran also talks about this all the time. It keeps saying, haven't you seen what happened to those before you? Haven't you seen for those nations before you? Haven't you looked at what happened to those guys? They had homes, they had civilizations, they were living, they were prospering, and look what happened to them. They destroyed themselves. Haven't you seen that? And it repeats this question over and over and over again. And until this day, we humans are repeating the same exact mistakes that we've been doing for the past thousands and thousands of years. Only a small group of people realize that this is wrong and wake up to this. So as believers, we have to be that exception. And we have to be able to help other people, whether they're Muslims or non-Muslims, to wake up and change their lives for the better. This is a form of charity that we can perform for ourselves and for other human beings. It doesn't have to be a Muslim that I help out in their life. At the end of the day, we all share this world together. We're all on earth. The environmental problem, for example, is an issue that concerns all of us, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim. And if you work on this, you're helping everybody on earth having a better life. At the end of the day, God created all of us. He didn't just create Muslims on this earth. So in order for us to be better with other people, we have to first be better with ourselves. And inshallah, these nights are dedicated to allowing us to wake up a little bit. Whatever I'm saying is not just for you, I'm saying it for myself as well. I'm reminding myself and I'm reminding everyone else. Things that I've read, things that I've got to know, so that we can all work on this together, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'm going to stop at this point for tonight because the time is getting a bit late. We're going to move on to the musibah. Tonight is a night that in some cultures belongs to Al-Abbas alayhi salam. So what has been done is that each night of Muharram has been dedicated to a certain event or a certain individual in different cultures. And I've tried to balance it out between a number of different cultures that are present here in the center so that everybody can have the experience that they're used to. So tonight in some of these cultures belongs to Al-Abbas alayhi salam. Al-Abbas was the brother of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We spoke about him a few nights ago when we talked about his mother, al-Baneen. Al-Baneen had 4 children, one of which was Al-Abbas alayhi salam. All her children had died in Karbala. She had sent them all, and she told them to defend the Imam until the last breath of their life. Al-Abbas alayhi salam was the one who held the flag. He was the flag bearer of Imam Hussein alayhi salam's army. He had to remain until the end because that flag had to stay standing. Al-Abbas alayhi salam saw all the companions of the Imam being killed. And then the family members started going out one by one, and they were killed. And Al-Abbas was watching them one by one, defending the Imam and leaving this world. After he saw that so many soldiers had been killed and left this world, he looked at his brothers. He had 3 brothers over there: Abdullah, Uthman, and Ja'far. He looked at them and told them, "Oh brothers, it is your turn to get up now and defend your Imam." ولما رأى العباس عليه السلام كثرة القتلى من أهله قال لإخوته من أمه وأبيه عبد الله وعثمان وجعفر تقدموا يا بني أمي حتى أراكم نصحتم لله ولرسوله. والتفت إلى عبد الله وكان أكبر من عثمان وجعفر وقال تقدم يا أخي حتى أراك قتيلا وأحتسبك. He looked at his brother Abdullah, and he was the oldest brother of his 3 brothers, and he told him to go ahead and fight to defend his Imam. فقاتلوا بين يدي أبي الفاضل حتى قتلوا بأجمعهم. They all fought until they were all killed. ولم يستطع العباس صبرا على البقاء بعد أن فنى صحبه وأهل بيته ويرى الحسين مكثورا قد انقطع عنه المدد وملأ مسامعه عويل النساء وصراخ الأطفال من العطش. Al-Abbas couldn't take it anymore. He saw that his brothers were killed, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam has been left alone, and the children were crying because of the thirst that they had. So he said, I'm going to go and ask my brother Hussein to give me permission to go to the battlefield and fight. Imam Hussein alayhi salam looked at him and said, Ya akhi, anta sahibu liwa'i. He told him, Abbas, you're the one who's holding the flag for me. In other words, I don't want you to go and fight because I want you to be with me. قال العباس قد ضاق صدري من هؤلاء المنافقين وأريد أن آخذ ثأري منهم. Abbas said, I can't take it anymore. I can't bear what they're doing, and I want to go and fight them. فأمره الحسين عليه السلام أن يطلب الماء للأطفال. Imam Hussein عليه السلام told him, then go get some water for the children. فذهب العباس إلى القوم ووعظهم وحذرهم غضب الجبار فلم ينفع. Al-Abbas decided to go and speak with the enemies, and he told them how God will be angry at them if they don't listen to them and give water to the children and stop what they're doing. But none of them listened to him. فنادى بصوت عال يا عمر بن سعد هذا الحسين بن بنت رسول الله قد قتلتم أصحابه وأهل بيته وهؤلاء عياله وأولاده عطاشا فاسقوهم من الماء قد أحرق الظمأ قلوبهم. He told the enemy, Oh Umar ibn Sa'd, this is Hussein, the grandson of Rasulullah. You've killed his companions, his family members, and these are her children. His children are dying of thirst, so give them some water. They cannot tolerate it anymore. وهو مع ذلك يقول دعوني أذهب إلى الروم أو الهند وأخلي لكم الحجاز أو العراق. And Imam Hussein was telling you to leave him alone and allow him to go, but you insist on killing him. فصاح شمر بأعلى صوته يا ابن أبي تراب لو كان وجه الأرض كله ماء وهو تحت أيدينا لما سقيناكم منه قطرا إلا أن تدخلوا في بيعة يزيد. Shimr replied to Al-Abbas saying, O son of Abu Talib, if this whole world was water and we had control over it, we will not give you one drop of this water until you pledge allegiance to Yazid. فرجع إلى أخيه يخبره. Al-Abbas went back to Imam Hussein عليه السلام to tell him what happened. فسمع الأطفال يتصارخون من العطش. Al-Abbas heard the children screaming because they were so thirsty. So he became angry and couldn't take it anymore. And he went on his horse and he took a water jug to go and fill. ثم إنه ركب الجواد وأخذ القربة وقصد الفرات. He went towards the river of Furat. فأحاط به 4,000 ورموه بالنبال. 4,000 soldiers of the enemy began shooting arrows at him, and he did not move. He kept going towards al-Furat and never turned back. ولا راعته كثرتهم وشد عليهم يضربهم بسيفه فلم تثبت له الرجال. He began attacking them with his sword, moving them from in front of him, heading towards the river. وشد عليهم يضربهم بسيفه حتى كشفهم عن الفرات ودخل الماء واغترف من الماء ليشرب. Al-Abbas reaches the water of Furat and he puts his hand in the water to drink from it. He feels the coldness of the water, and Al-Abbas is dying of thirst as well. But what happened in this moment? فتذكر عطش الحسين ومن معه فرمى الماء من يديه. He remembered the thirst of Al-Hussein and he threw the water out of his hands, and he said, يا نفس من بعد الحسين هوني وبعده لا كنت أن تفوني هذا الحسين وعارض المنون وتشربين بارد المعين تالله ما هذا فعال ديني. In the poem, Al-Abbas says, Oh nafs, oh soul, calm down after Hussein, as if you were not existing. This is Hussein who is approaching death, and you're drinking from the cold water. This is not from my doing and my actions. I am not someone who will drink water when Hussein is thirsty at the tent. ثم ملأ القربة, he filled it up with water. وركب الجواد وتوجه نحو الخيام فقطع عليه الطريق. He got onto his horse and he began moving towards the tent to take the water bag. فحمل عليهم يضربهم حتى أكثر القتل فيهم وكشفهم عن الطريق. He began attacking the enemies and moving them out of his way in order to get to the tent. And he began reciting a poem. لا أرهب الموت إذا الموت زفع حتى أوارى في المصاليك لقى نفسي بصدق المصطفى الطهر وقى إني أنا العباس أغدو باستقى ولا أخاف الشر يوم الملتقى. He says, I am Al-Abbas and I'm taking this water back to the tent and I have no fear of death when I have to meet it. I sacrifice myself for the grandson of the Prophet. As he was moving towards the tents, كمن له زيد بن الرقاد الجهني من وراء نخلة فضربه على يمينه فبرأها. This man named Zayd came from behind the tree, a palm tree, and he hit Al-Abbas on his right hand and he cut it. فأخذ السيف بشماله. Al-Abbas took the sword with his left hand وحمل عليهم وهو يقول والله إن قطعتم يميني إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني وعن إمام صادق اليقين نجل النبي الطاهر الأمين. He took the sword with his left hand and he recited a poem saying, I swear by Allah, if you cut my right hand, I will forever fight and protect my religion, and I will protect this Imam who is pure, the grandson of the pure Prophet. فلم يعبأ بيمينه بعد أن كان همه إيصال الماء إلى أطفال الحسين. He didn't care about his cut hand because all he was thinking is, I want to take this water to the thirsty children. لكن حكيم ابن طفيل كمن له من وراء نخلة. A guy named Hakim ibn Tufayl went again behind a tree because they couldn't face Al-Abbas in front of him. He would get them. So they had to hide behind trees in order to hit him. فلما مر به ضربه على شماله فقطعها. When Al-Abbas passed by him, he came behind him and struck him on his left hand and he cut his left hand off. Then Al-Abbas began reciting يا نفس لا تخشي من الكفار وأبشري برحمة الجبار مع النبي السيد المختار قد قطعوا ببغيهم يساري فاصلهم يا رب حر النار. He said that, O Nafs, O Abbas, don't fear the kuffar, those who are attacking us, and wait for the mercy of Allah that's coming to you. You're going to be with Rasulullah. With their evilness, they've cut off my left hand. Oh Allah, put them in the hellfire where they deserve. وَتَكَاثَرُوا عَلَيْهِ. Al-Abbas continued. He wanted to get the water back to the children no matter what happens. So they wanted to stop him. They saw that they couldn't stop him. They cut his right hand, and he kept going. So they began shooting arrows at him. The narrator who was at the battle said, I saw the arrows coming down as if it was rain. وَتَكَاثَرُوا عَلَيْهِ وَأَتَتْهُ السِّهَامُ كَالْمَطَرِ فأصاب القربة سهم وأريق معها وسهم أصاب صدره وسهم أصاب عيناه وضربه رجل بالعمود على رأسه. The arrows began coming down on Al-Abbas. One arrow went into the water jug. Another arrow came into the chest of Al-Abbas. Another arrow hit the eye of Al-Abbas. When a soldier saw this, another man came and hit him on his head with a paw until he cut his head. Al-Abbas fell on the floor. وسقط على الأرض ينادي عليك مني السلام أبا عبد الله أدركني يا أخي. When he fell on the floor, he said, "Oh Hussein, peace be upon you. Come and help your brother." فأتاه الحسين ورآه مقطوع اليدين والسهم نابت في العين. And Hussein came to him and saw that he had no arms, and he saw an arrow in his eye. فقال الآن انكسر ظهري وقلت حيلتي وشمت بي عدوي. He said, now my back has been broken and I have no more strength and power to endure anymore. فبينما إمامنا عند أبي الفضل فإذا بأبي الفضل انتبه. The Imam took Abu al-Fadl's cheek and put it on his lap. Abu al-Fadl took his head up and put it back on the ground. The Imam put it back on his lap. Al-Abbas went back to the ground. The Imam put it back. Al-Abbas put it back on the Imam's lap. And he told Al-Abbas, "Why are you removing your head from my lap when I'm putting it on it?" Al-Abbas told him, "You're putting my head on your lap right now. Who's going to be putting your head on his lap after you're killed?" And then the Imam wanted to take him back to the tent. فقال سيدي ما تريد أن تصنع. He told him, "Ya Hussein, what do you want to do?" He told him, "I want to take you back to the tents. أريد حملك إلى المخيم." So he told him, no, don't take me back to the tent. And the Imam told him, "Why?" He said, "Because I promised Sukaina to bring her back some water, and I didn't fulfill her promise." And then Al-Abbas alayhi salam was there. فَفَاضَتْ رُوحُهُ الطَّاهِرَةُ رَحِمَ اللَّهُ مَنْ نَادَى وَعَبَّسَا رحم الله من نادى وعبسا. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب سينقلبون. والعاقبة للمتقين. يا الله, we ask you, Ya Allah, by the rights and love of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and the pure family of his, to forgive all our sins, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, anyone in this gathering here who's sick and who's ill and knows a sick one or an ill person, Ya Allah, we ask you by the blessings of this majlis to cure them and remove their sickness and illness, and to give everyone here good health. Ya Allah, if anybody here is in need of anything, has a request, has a wish that wants to be fulfilled, we ask you by the blessing of this majlis to fulfill that request for them. Ya Allah, forgive our sins, improve our lives, strengthen our bonds and connection together, and give us the success and tawfiq to be able to come to these majalis this year and every year and throughout the year. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على